one.
That didn't work. Welcome back to another episode of Genius Days. Today we're talking about how to be a gentleman. A gentleman is only a patient wolf, and we're talking about how to be an ethical beast, what exactly it means to be a gentleman, and how we can redefine it for the 21st century. To
Mhm.
kick us off, first we have a disclaimer. So if one of you wants to do the disclaimer, go ahead.
I'll go right ahead. Disclaimer one: we are simply educators and entertainers. Whatever you take from this, use at your own risk. And get to gag to us what happened. I would like to know. Other than that, have fun. Welcome to the podcast. Now, what was the topic about again? The gentle
Giant.
beast, giant. Right. Now, this is how I interpret it. Before you are gentle, you have to create the character of a man. You need to earn the right to be a pacifist, let's say. It is the slight beef I have with men that don't know how to use a firearm or how to protect themselves or protect their families, aren't rich, you name it, and then calling themselves pacifist. Man, you ain't passive. You are harmless, and that's the difference. You cannot be gentle before you're a man. That doesn't make sense. You have, and in that, we start to see why, as a young kid, I deeply admired cops, men of the military, men of service, because what they're doing is not only freaking hard, but actually dangerous. Sumit, Alejandro, your thoughts.
Well, I agree with you in saying that, the man comes first because we first have to have a definition of what we mean by man, right? Just because you have a male sexual organ doesn't make you a man, right? It's just like there are certain principles and guidelines and discipline and authenticity that comes from being a man. And I think that, having that aspect of, okay, there we are an aggressive gender, let's just leave it at that. Like we are in a sense very we like roughhousing, we like to be aggressive, we like to fight, we like to climb trees, all this kind of stuff. I think it's kind of been lost, it's been diluted down in culture. And so when we lose that sense of what a man is, adding gentleness on top of that is just like there's no like flavor in a sense, you know what I mean? So I think the gentleness is where it adds flavor. It's almost like a tenderness or a compassion that makes sense towards the character, which is one of the boss or the king or the iron fist or whatever you want to define your character to be. I think that it's important that we start from our values and our ethics of what it means to be a man. I think a real man is in its definition. It's just he's real. Right? I heard an awesome quote today from a book I was reading. Book I was reading. Actually, I was listening to the book, but it's weird to say I'm reading a book at the same time as listening to it. But anyway, it was basically relaxation is who you are, and tension is who you should be or who you're trying to be. I thought that was a really cool quote because there's a kind of relaxation with the gentle man, right? There's a sense of poise and purposefulness. Is that a word? It is now. Purposefulness, right? There's like a meaningfulness to it that I think once you're on a path as a man, you're trying to create something. You're like trying to create a legacy or leave something behind or have some form of ambition where you're moving towards this end result. And that's what's exciting you. It's like that is the male energy, right? penis that goes outwards, vagina, which is receptive. And so I think that once we understand that and add a layer of gentleness on top of that, then we start to really get that 80 or 60% yang with a little bit of yin to add flavor to it, right? So yeah, what do you guys think of that?
Now go ahead. I like what you said about the yin and the yang thing, right? Because I do believe men should fully embrace the masculine philosophy, be it stoicism, be it, anything oriented towards that, the hardiness and embracing it. Because without the obstacles, or better said, overcoming any obstacle, and actually enjoying the struggle makes you a man of character, makes you dangerous. That being said, any boy or girl deeply appreciates and admires a solid father. Because the solid father, in my opinion, or from my perspective, isn't simply a man, but a man who knows how to care and take care of. But he's not motherly, he's simply fatherly. He is strict, he is just, but he's also kind. But he's still a man, meaning, for instance, in my youth, my dad had still his youthful sense of adventure, where he would take us every now and again to the jungle just to hunt. And I remember these things fondly, where we would set traps and get excited. And even if we caught small prey, which wasn't really the point, but we still caught small prey, I would deeply appreciate eating wild food with my dad by the bonfire with his friends and coworkers. And that, in my opinion, is a perfect example of how a small child views the yin and yang perspective, also known as the solid father. Alejandro, I want to know your perspectives on this.
Yeah, so I'm watching, listening to
Mhm.
Impulsive, right? Logan Paul. And the episode wasn't about this, but Mike just happened to bring this
Mhm.
up. He said that the
Mhm.
two nicest people that he's ever met is Ski Mask, the slum god, and the guy who directs all the music videos for Lemonade Music. You know what I'm talking about? He makes those really dope music
Cole
videos.
Bennett.
Cole Bennett, yeah. And he said that these are the two nicest people, right? And Ski Mask, he doesn't. His appearance isn't necessarily nice. Isn't soft, right? He looks very fucking crazy. That's just it. He just looks crazy, you know, right? But then you get to know the guy, and you're like, oh shit, he's really, just chill. He's just fucking chill. And so that's in a way that's what I believe it means to be a gentleman, right? Is to first get power before you become a gentleman. First, you must get power, right? You're not a gentleman just cause, right? You get power, and then you apply that power where it needs to go, and you. It's like people know this guy can fuck me up, but like he's just really nice because I'm nice. We're nice to each other, so he's just nice. And the thing is, if you're not strong first and you're just nice first, um, that's sort of just a strategy to keep you safe, just because you're being nice just to keep yourself safe. Not because you are so fucking caring, right? And it's like, no, it's because they told you to fucking do this, and now you're just doing what they told you to do, and that's not cool. I mean, I don't know if anybody who's listening right now, like, go break the rules. Be tough, be badass, be strong, but like I also don't talk to like my dog the same way that I would talk to, like, I don't know, anybody here. I speak to my dog very softly because this is my puppy, you know, and so I'll speak very softly to my puppy. Um, and me doing that, this is what I realized. Me going baby voice on him, going baby voice on him, um, doesn't take away from like my toughness, right? And it just shows, like, if I can go in this polarity, then I can also go in this polarity. And I think I said a little bit unrelated, but I said to someone that I really care about. I told him, um, in order for me to love you a lot, I must know what true hate is, right? In order for me to really love you, there must be hate as well, and that's the polarity. You gotta have both to understand it. I can't tell you this is what real love is unless I know what real hate is, right? And it's the same way. I'm gonna pass it on to Ryan Curtis in a second. I just want to say the same way that you have that polarity of of super soft and super rough, you need to know when to apply them, right? You don't always walk around being a fucking tough guy. You fucking look tough because of the shit that you do. You beast out, right? Naturally, you're gonna form a roughness around you, and the more stronger you are, the softer you can be with the other world, right? If you are more, if you don't have that look, you have to have that fucking. You have to at least portray the toughness if you're not tough yet. If you don't look tough yet, this is what we see this in the animal kingdom. With the dog, that doesn't bark is the one that bites you. The dog that barks, he's just barking because he's scared, right? So Ryan Curtis.
A little bit of insight I have on that. um, speaking about, I guess, a gentleman is a patient wolf pretty much. And, kind of what sparked in me is just thinking of my experience, like day to day, I go to people's houses and I do work on them. So I'm going to, strangers' homes, some really nice ones, all over the map. But, initially, when you look at someone, you have that initial perception, as we know, our avatar. People who aren't on the same level necessarily will judge you by your avatar. But as a man, they might think, is this a dangerous man? Is this a whatever man that put all these different thoughts on you? But the thing that always changes things from my experience is when you shake their hand, because, or just the way you carry yourself when you talk. Then they get an idea of who you are. So whatever their perception was, you instantly shatter it. And it's almost like tapping them in to, all right, now you're off autopilot, because what they thought, or what package they thought they were getting is different from what they're actually getting, but they don't realize it until they have an interaction with you. So you can judge me however you want to judge me, but if we interact as man to man or person to person, it'll be respect, and you'll realize I'm not coming from a place of harm, but there will still be that respect, because we don't carry ourselves in a certain way to be taken advantage of. So we can be respected and have that edge without necessarily giving that aggression off. So I think actually it's like, like you said, you have to be a dangerous man before a gentleman. So I think actually what we're doing is calibrating down than calibrating up. We're it's like knowing your audience, like me, we can have conversations from a certain point of view because we have a certain understanding, a shared understanding of stuff. Whereas, again, going to random people's houses, are a whole bunch of people from different political backgrounds and ideologies and stuff of that nature. So it's meeting in the middle. I'm not going to lose myself dealing with you, but I'm going to respect you when dealing with me. And I think it's the same thing, dealing with women or whoever your audience is. knowing what you can do and then deciding what you want to do, how you want to be perceived. I think a gentleman can be, okay, that's just one, it's multifaceted. The gentleman is just who I am in this certain room, you know, fucking, we're all together and it's like locker room talk. Are we being gentlemen with each other right now? Or are we just being respectful men towards each other? It's all about who we're talking to.
Yeah, man. I think that context is super key in terms of how, you know, we morph, and like you said, we're multifaceted, multidimensional, right? So we show different aspects of ourselves and we step into different roles all the time. But I like what you said about meeting in the middle. I think that that's super powerful because I've been thinking of this idea of frame control, right? And I gave the example of, like, let's say that your universe, your frame, the way you see reality is like Narnia, right? And let's say that somebody else's is like Hogwarts. So as these two worlds meet, as you're communicating with each other, you're not gonna immediately drop your frame and go into Hogwarts and get a sorting hat and fucking get a, you know, wand. It's like you want them to come into your world if you have the stronger frame, right? And the stronger frame always eats up the weaker frame, right? That's the way it works in anywhere, like in any interaction, any workplace, right? Any communication. So the way that I think about it is like the merging of two worlds. And if it's like two countries, the two countries still have borders, right? So it's like the frame control is actually like border control in a sense, right? Because it's like you're looking after your boundaries. And I think a man knows how to look after his boundaries. I think that once he has that, then he can start to be more flexible within those boundaries. Uh, but before that, it's like, yeah, you really have to know what you stand for and what you don't, right? Because then you have, if your tolerance or pain threshold is like here, and someone keeps like pummeling you, you're gonna keep getting hit and not saying anything. And I know I've been here in the past of like not speaking up or not doing something even though I feel uncomfortable, right? And in those moments. So that's one thing. Another thing is I've been rereading Power versus Force, and I've been finding lots of magical insights. Something that was so powerful is that what Ivan, you were saying, a man needs to have power first, right, before he does anything else. I think it's so incredible because after 200, which is courage, it goes into power, right? And power is all about energy giving rather than energy draining. Force is energy draining, right? And I think it's cool how David R. Hawkins split it up into truth above courage is truth, and below courage is falsehood or illusion. So actually, like these lower levels of consciousness, it's not real, right? It's not real. So the more real you can be, the more power you can accumulate.
Yeah, so the the level of courage is very interesting because I was just thinking about this the other day, and I was like, this sort of in my head of a situation. I was like, I don't have to handle it with courage, right? Because courage is like, in a way, it's like there's too much. There's too much hype. There's too much hype inside of courage, right? When I think courage, I think like going into battle type shit. You really gotta be fucking hype for that shit, right? Um, Courage is like, I'm afraid, but I'm gonna do it anyway. That's what courage means to me. And so, instead, I said, how about I'm not courage? How about I don't have courage? And instead, I just say it with peace, right? I say what I need to say, like if I'm talking about grabbing a coffee, right? And that's how I picture a gentleman, right? They're at a fucking ball, you know what I mean? They got fucking the Cuban cigars and shit, right? We're lit up, right? We got our fucking tux and shit. Some people got champagne, right? Ladies, other people, they're at the tables, and, you know, we're standing up. Like I don't know, they have that vibe. Like I don't know, it's like, you know. But we're not paid like that. We're not paid like that. Um, but that aspect though, like in this scenario, in this situation, I'm a gentleman. In this situation, I'm a gentleman, and it should be known that I'm a gentleman here, right? It should be known that this person is strong, and this person is just they're being nice. They're nice people, right? Uh, but in another situation, I'm not a gentleman, you know, and I'm not going to behave like a gentleman, right? And so what I'm realizing is that the gentleman is only, as you could say, it's a character that we could shapeshift into according to that situation that it is, right? Like if it's just me in a room full of ladies, I'm not gonna be a gentleman. I'm not gonna be a gentleman, right? It's we got all these ladies here. I'm gonna be all fucking. Oh, you guys want some? You guys want something to drink? Oh, let's get some food. Or oh, like the way the gentleman is. He's like he's just like kind. He's just like a kind person, right? That's sort of like what I feel from that. It's just it's a kind person. Of course, obviously we got the don't fuck with that aspect, right? But in general, like when you meet that person, you're like, this is a nice person, right? I don't know. I don't want girls to be thinking that in that moment. I don't want them to think, oh, he's nice. He's a nice guy. No, no. Even though I can be a nice person at my essence. In that moment, I'm not gonna be nice. It may feel pleasurable, and you can refer to it as nice in that way. That pleasure of the presence, right? Of like that sweet delight, that joy when a man and a woman are just being pure in their essence. That is like very very beautiful. It's this very fun, delicious, sweet energy that grows between these two people, right? And you don't get that from being uh, a, a persona, or I don't know. I don't know if I want to say as far as say you don't get it as an archetype, but I would say obviously we're all archetypes, but I don't know if you could archetype masculine and feminine energy as a whole in and of itself, just by itself, masculine and feminine. They could you'll have the archetype will have a blend of it, right? Since the archetype of the gentleman has the blend of it, but at its essence, when it comes to specifically men and women social dynamics or relational dynamics, I like that word, relational dynamics. Cool. I think what I just love to do is just separate any images, any persona, any character, and have her do the same, just stripped of all character, and just be instinct, right? And in that instinct, it's like you don't have to think, you don't have to try, you don't have to push for something. It's just this really fun like energy exchange. You know? Ryan, you put your hand up. The other Ryan, Ryan, see.
I think it might be up from before, right?
No, I did raise it for a second. I put it down, but because I'm not sure if my thought was right on point or on point with what we're talking about. But you were talking about, you like kind of stripping away everything and just, getting that true connection, with the person between the masculine and feminine. Um, and I think, I think the reason why, it's hard for people to do that, because we're on the topic of being a gentleman stuff, is because that's their mask. But when you integrate it, it's not a mask anymore. It's who you are. So you can be that, because it becomes a state of being, Everybody who's trying, it's hard because it's not natural. All we're doing is picking up the techniques and integrating them. It's us. We get to choose our archetypes, and that's why we're blessed, because we have that level of consciousness to choose that. Everybody's like subconsciously doing it, but we're choosing it, and that is who we are, because that's our essence. So I agree with you just about wanting to connect with people and doing that on a deeper level. I just like it's so hard for people because everyone's trying to be the nice guy, the gentleman, the white knight, whatever. But that's where people are getting fucked up because they're not being truthful. Get to the heart of a popular dude. It's like nobody really in the popular crowd feels fucking good because they're trying to be popular. Whereas the person who is just being and enjoying them.
RJC, you're breaking up a little bit, bro.
A little bit. My nigga's full on Frozen, bro. He went full Frozone mode on us, bro.
Yeah, fucking, I just got out of Wi-Fi, guys. I'm fucking driving.
Oh, okay, that happens.
Anyways, though, that was it. Y'all can keep going. I'm just enjoying the conversation.
Nice. Yeah, something's very interesting here. About our archetype and how your archetype interacts with another person. Right. And like I don't feel comfortable like being too crazy around certain people. I have to like develop like a kind of comfort that I know you're not gonna judge me. Because like I think that's really what it is because I feel like I just been too many situations where I was just too comfortable. And it just made everything uncomfortable. I was too comfortable and it made everyone else uncomfortable. Right?
It's like we can't
It made me uncomfortable and I didn't want to fucking be there anymore.
we
Right?
can't stop people from judging us. We have to be able to handle it. It's just like any controversy. We can't stop it from coming. We just handle it.
Yeah. But like uh like uh like if I'm in a Black Lives Matter crowd, I'm not gonna be like pro Trump, go in there with my MAGA hat. You know what I mean? I'm setting myself up to lose there. And so whenever there's too many people that can be against you in that moment, it's like okay, I need to watch out. And so like that just happened too many times where it was just too many people that were against me, not enough on my side that I could get on my side to defend my position. And you'll notice that shit. Like even if you're right, and like there's just like a few more people are not agreeing with you in the group. Let's say this: if the leaders, if people who have the highest status in that room don't agree with what you're saying, the people that have the lower status, um, they won't stand up for you, right? Because they don't feel like they can, right? And so they're like they'll just leave you to lose and die, to fucking die, and as much as they care about you, they won't be able to stand up for themselves or you. And so of course that's why we have to be fucking strong, for sure. I feel like we're talking about something very like important, actually, like what it means to be a gentleman. I think that's actually kind of important.
For sure. I was just reminded of that. I was watching this Netflix show, like maybe I watched like one episode. It's called Sex Life. There's this woman who like she she's kind of like losing touch with her husband, and she sees this old guy that she used to hook up with from the past who's kind of like a bad boy. And essentially, she explains like this guy has everything, he's perfect, right? But there's no, I don't know what it is, what the word is. It's like chemistry or something, but like he gets up for old people in the bus, and like he gives her flowers and like all this kind of stuff. But I think that it's missing something, and I think that something is that man element. I think he has the gentleness, right? He has the gentleness and the quality of being kind and, you know, standing up for yourself and those less fortunate than you, and like making breakfast and going on walks and like, you know, admitting when they're wrong and like, you know, watching how much they drink and all this kind of stuff, but is still missing this raw, unfiltered, primal essence that we all have as men, which is this inner caveman. And I think that little caveman needs a bit of love. You know, he needs to be initiated into manhood. That's what a bat mitzvah is. You know what I mean? It's like we have these pseudo initiations in culture where it's like, oh, you're becoming a man now, from like fraternity culture, or like, you know, stuff we see on TV, like, oh, he went to war, so he's a man. I don't think there's any specific like moment where you become a man. I think it's a mental consciousness shift of autonomy where you're like, fuck, like I'm doing this shit on my own. Like, you know what I mean? There's a point in your brain where you just go like, okay, it's about time I take responsibility for some shit. And I think that that shift happens for a lot of guys, right? Where you're like, man, I gotta handle my own. I gotta. It's like all the aspects of the masculine triad, you could say, like the lover, the protector, and the provider, like kind of coming together in this wholeness and this ubiquity. Yeah. So, and the lover too, for sure.
You said love, bro.
Oh, I did. Okay. The protector, provider. It is a triad, right? Yeah. Fuck
Or am I just gaslighting you?
yeah. That's perfect. I had someone say that to me the other day, and I was like, you think I don't know what that means? Like, you know, I've been studying psychology for hella long. Like, she was like, I don't think you know what gaslighting means. I was like, what the fuck? Like, she was like challenging my frame.
She was gaslighting you, bro.
Exactly. She was.
It's weird. I had no idea what it was until they started saying I was doing it. It's like, dude, no, I'm just asking you a fucking question.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just asking you a question.
Hey, Ryan G, we're good, man.
It's all good. It's all good. I really liked what Sumit said about rites of passages and their importance. I mean, you're muted, man. You're muted. Oh, and you're leaving as well. Fair enough. Anyway, if you look back at, I don't know if you remember, I'm not sure whether it was in the movie Apocalypto or another one, but the same native, especially in the country where I'm from, Suriname, would use animals like ants and put themselves to pain, and then the boy becomes a man. It is very similar to uh, your uncle bringing you to a kickboxing dojo and having you train like an animal. And it's very similar to what we, as even older men, going through the rite of passage called the beasting, to reinvent ourselves. And then we start to reconnect what it means to be dangerous as a man. Because now we're not only having a strong body, but also a strong mind with the skills to back it up, be it physically to fight and to handle our business physically, but also mentally, spiritually, and some of us even magically. And it all started with almost a continuous upward spiral of the hero's journey that doesn't stop until you pass to the next life. And I even dare to say, games like Zelda do it very well because it's a continuous iteration of the hero's journey, where we have this fan theory that Link never died. He just kept teaching and preparing for the next war. It's like with each phase that we pass through, be it in our life, be it in the beasting, be it in whatever craft that you practice, is that you're both a student and a master at the same time, and thus you're both the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, because you have godly essence, as well as you know what you've done in the past through your experience, as well as the day is in the now, so you can prepare for the future, and thereby continuously reinventing yourself as the man that you believe that you can be. And then genuineness comes to the part where you become a kind but just ruler, or just but kind ruler, where towards your tribe, towards your king, towards your people, towards your loved ones, you're kind, and where necessary, you're strict. And to whomever decides to, let's say, quote unquote, fuck with your tribe, fuck with your family, or dare I say, with your kids, are there dire consequences. And that would, in essence, mean not only am I a gentle man, I am a gentle beast. So should you dare tread on my property, best beware to tread carefully. There we go.
Nice.
You guys are reading Accidental Gangster, yeah?
I'm listening to it, yeah.
Listening to, yeah. What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all's thoughts on it? Because I think
Bro,
that
this guy is, bro, I'm barely 2 hours in it and I laughed my ass off because this guy is such a bro. Just the whole vibe of he's clearly a man's man. Let's say he loves having fun, going out, signing up for things that truly made men back in the day. Like he didn't like school, but he knew he had to take care of his parents. He knew that even though he wasn't a great saver, he would always put aside money for his parents because he knew, that's what he do. That's this um that's not only what is expected of men according to him, but also this is what he really liked doing to honor his family. And I really liked what he did with, even though he was doing somewhat shady things with his business, he always kept his word. He always made sure the people that helped him got the help that they needed. They just needed to ask. And it was also evident that people of higher status, not per se celebrities, but powerful men, powerful older men, powerful mafioso, let's say, men that have significant power and sway and say over people, not only respected Mr. Spado, but also Jenny wanted him in their own tribe because of the character of who he is as a man, the character that he represents, and the way that he went about his business. And what I really liked about, I don't, barely a quarter in the story, of course, in the book, but I'm starting to learn lessons on applying oneself. Because at the end of the day, we're all middleman problem solvers towards a specific issue. In the case of Spado, the and the gangster, he knew very well how to use his communication to solve, in some cases or in a lot of cases, disputes between gangs, companies, and that's how word got around. And that was so beautiful because in many ways, this is what we are doing, but in a slightly different context.
Yeah, there's actually a line in his book where
Mm-hmm.
he said where he's getting uh, offered to go study at West Point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
With his test scores were pretty decent.
mm-hmm.
They were like, yeah, we want to have you there. And he says, me, Ori Spado, a gentleman and a war hero. I don't think he said war hero. He said something else. But he said
I know what you mean.
he didn't say warrior. He said like something else. But that sort of essence of word. And he goes, a gentleman and a warrior. I couldn't believe it. Right. And it's like in that sense he's sort of referring to a gentleman as being someone who is studied, who's well studied, right? Like you're not you don't have that gentleman essence unless you actually have intellect. Like that's what you really notice. Like otherwise, it's like I think that's what sort of like brings it together. There's like toughness, kindness, and then the third pillar is intelligence. And I think we bring these three together, and I think that's a gentleman.
Hmm.
Boom. Mic drop.
Right? That shit hit. That shit hit, bro. That shit hit. That's what I'm saying. It was so good. When we started having this conversation, I was like, I think this is actually really, really important what we're about to talk about. And
Yeah.
Hmm.
And like that comes together through the triangle is like the communication, right? It's like once you have the kindness and strength with the intellect and you're communicating in that way, bro, it's like you're the gentle man for sure. The way that I think about it is like if you have a tiger, right? Maybe I've used this example before, but let's say you have a tiger. I think one of the fascinations that I had with tigers is the fact that it has like really soft fur, you know, and but it's also very dangerous. Like it has claws and teeth and fucking like it can rip you apart, but it looks so like, you know, it has aesthetic, right? It's very interesting to look at. It has stripes. So I think the fascination of the yin yang quality of any animal like that, like a big cat, is like that. Like imagine a tiger with like porcupine, like, you know, things like all over it. Like we would be like, what the heck is that thing? You know what I mean? Like, why is it not soft? Like we as people, we actually have that quality where we see a creature and it's like, okay, there's a tenderness in them, right? That's very clear, but it can also rip you apart. So I think that's what that quality is. It's like, yeah, a lot of people have huskies as pets, right? Also knowing it's in the wolf family, like, you know, it can rip you apart if something goes down. Like this dog can start attacking, right? So the
we don't
power to attack,
we don't ever look at a fucking armadillo and be like, I want to cuddle with that shit.
right? Exactly, exactly, bro. Yeah,
But with a tiger, for sure, people want to go fucking touch it. They got fucking Tiger King over here pulling up to your fucking house with a baby tiger.
Is he still alive?
I don't know.
probably.
Let me call him.
Let me call him. Bro, you got connections of the wazoo, man.
It says his phone's been disconnected.
They've tried.
Must be that damn Carol Baskin.
You're a man. But what time is it? Okay, we have 4 minutes.
Mhm.
If you guys, anybody wants to say something?
Hmm. You were talking about the triangle of toughness, intelligence, and kindness. I would even add class, the demonstration of character. It had to do with when ACD watched a video of Floyd Mayweather, that even though this man has the intelligence and the power and possibly even the kindness, the fact that he's on TV and acting like a thug, hmm, what if he would act or make himself more presentable to be to act with class,
Act who? Act who is
act with
who? But
class?
who?
Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, bro. But like in that context, he's like in a boxing ring. Like he's gonna like I wouldn't want to be perceived as a gentleman in that case. In that
Mm,
scenario, you know what I mean? And also like I think it's possible to consider class as intelligence because it's like social intelligence, but it's something that
Okay.
we can only get from like having power, right? Because if it's just like when I think like intelligence on my own, on its own, I think like some sort of Albert Einstein copy. You know what I mean? Like when we think like people that are like Albert Einstein, they dress all the same. They have a similar hairstyle, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Where they dress sort. I want to say like professors. You know, when I just think like pure intelligence, it's like those people that only dedicate themselves to the study of something. They end up becoming professors actually, right?
Mhm.
But they don't have real physical power. And then I think when we have that power and we have that intelligence, it merges and creates class. You feel me?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because you could look at like lower like poverty people. I don't want to call them poverty people. Just people who are struggling, working class people. A lot of them don't have their kids don't have the class that like wealthier people have.
Right.
It's like a kind of way that they carry themselves, right? And so the wealthier kids, they have more power than the non-wealthy kids because of their access to their parents, right? And so that's what they feed off of that power, and
Mhm.
that power reassures them that everything's going to be okay, which is something that the the struggling families, they don't always have that sense of safety,
Right.
which is the lack of power, right? And so that's just something that's come to my mind.
Yeah, I'm reminded of like in terms of the scale of consciousness, like reason is like that scientist, archetype. It's like the left brain, completely academic, literature, like, or like peer-reviewed studies and shit like that, right? I'm thinking about this, man. Like, there was no term like autism, Asperger's, like all this kind of stuff back in Einstein's day, right? But he didn't speak to anyone. He was socially awkward. He would have been labeled that back then. You know what I mean? So the people we actually call like genius, in a sense, it's like we can't put all of these different labels on them because when we label something, we make it real, right? So if I actually believe I'm a gentleman, I'm gonna start behaving like one. Like after a while, I'm just gonna internalize that. If everyone calls me a gentleman, let's say someone says, "Oh, he's so sweet. He's a sweet guy." If you hear that enough times, you're gonna start acting sweet for no reason. It's about like knowing that you have the conscious control of it,
Right.
right? So I think that triad, it's like you can hop the triad. It's like you can be intelligent at times and tweak it a little bit more. You can be tough at other times and tweak it a little bit more. And that's why the example of like Mayweather, like, yeah, it doesn't make sense to be super classy in the ring,
Mhm.
but it does in like a dinner party where he's hanging out or
Bro,
whatever,
you know
right?
what I found out about Mayweather?
Hmm.
This guy, he was out having dinner with somebody. I don't know. It was a Joe Rogan type of person that he was having
Mhm.
dinner. And the guy was saying like, "Yo, you're really nice. Like you're a really nice guy." And he's like like being around him, the way that he treated people, the way that he treated the workers there, he was really nice. And the guy was like, what's up with like all this shit, like on TV and stuff? And he's like, well, because when I pull up, I want them to hate me, because if they hate me, they're gonna buy my ticket. But if they hear that I'm a boxer and that I'm just a nice guy, then they don't care. They pay that ticket because they want to see me lose, right? So it's like this really incredible alchemy of like using other people's hate to become rich. Like their hate over you makes you rich, right? But he's still putting on a bit of a persona when he goes on stage and stuff because he wants you to hate him. In fact, he wants you to hate him, and that's kind of trippy.
It's like in WWE how they have like certain people that play the villain archetype. I mean, it's just like that yeah, he's gonna get hated by the crowd, but also they're paying the bills because they're there to boo at him. So
Mhm.
yeah, it makes sense. Like the hating gives you fuel.
Well, that's funny because The Rock, that's how he became famous. The moment he started to act as the heel archetype, the bash people verbally, physically, mentally, you name it, and with his famous slogans like "It doesn't matter," "King is smell," it's all from that character, from that bad boy, "I'ma fuck up your day" character. And in that, we start to see maybe there's money to be made, or there's at least an appreciation for the heel. Let's say that. There's something about that that we love, either love to hate or love to admire. I'm not too sure about it.
Nice. Well, 10:33 here.
Hmm.
My concluding words are this: be the best, fuck the rest.
Agreed. Thought I was thinking the same thing.
Nice.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. May you never be the same again. Be the best, fuck the rest. And may the flow be with you.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
been a good conversation.